Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Enlighten Up podcast. I am really excited today to bring you a very dear friend of mine. She's also going to be helping me facilitate the Forbidden Journey retreat in Breckenridge this fall. She is someone that I met, I think it's been 15 years. Like, we've known each other 15 years. We met in a yoga teachers training in Costa Rica. And we were just laughing moments ago before I hit the record button, because both of us struggle to know how to introduce ourselves. Like, what do we call ourselves? What are we doing? Because let me just say, her name's Christina McGrath, and Christina, darling, it's so good to have you here.
Yay, thank you. It's so awesome to be here.
I know.
Yay.
We've been on such a crazy journey, and it's so interesting because you and we met in 2008. I remember the year because it was a pivotal year for me. I don't know if it was a pivotal year for you, but that was the year I took my sabbatical. That's the year I decided to jump into yoga teachers training and I actually remember, my audience. Okay. So to my audience, Christina is a phenomenal yoga instructor, just yogini. Like, she's so good at it. And I suck. And I remember when I went in there, I literally had 4 months of yoga experience, like classes, going into that yoga teachers training. And I thought I was a total fraud. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. I look around and I see Christina, and she's like bending and contorting into all these most amazing poses. Not to mention you surf, you're a surf instructor as well. And I'm just like, God, what the hell am I doing here?
Oh my God, that's awesome.
We became fast friends. And Christina, it's so good to have you here.
Yay.
Okay, let my audience know, first of all, where are you right now?
So I'm in New Zealand.
Yes.
Taiwan, New Zealand. And I've been here for a little while. I've lived in New Zealand, for a while. So really exciting.
I know.
Winter.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is really cool. So audience, just know that it's so amazing how your paths can connect, and then they might diverge and go in different ways. Because you and I lost touch for a little while. We just different paths. I moved to the Cayman Islands. You were also you were in New Zealand, so it was like really far away. And other than Facebook and being able to keep in touch and see, that's what she's doing on Facebook, but we reconnected in 2020.
Huge. This is I feel like I've witnessed this, you evolving so much from the experiences that we had in Colorado in 2020.
I know. And oh my God, just even thinking what happened that first weekend when I came up to visit you for the first time. I hadn't seen you in, I don't even know how long, probably since yoga teachers training.
Yeah. Maybe 10 years.
Yeah. And wasn't it crazy? Was it you who reached out to me, or was it did I reach out to you? How did it work? I don't even
remember. Oh, you know what? I was listening to your stuff and I was like, God, I really resonate with what she's doing now. It's kind of edgy, spiritual. And a lot of people aren't talking like that right now. So I was like, okay, that sounds cool. We need to connect again. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'll just come over. I was like, okay, sweet.
Yeah. Cause you were in Colorado at the time.
Yeah, I was in
you
Colorado.
were up in Breck. So you lived in Breck. That's where you grew up, right?
Yeah, well, I'm originally from Illinois, went to the
Yeah.
University of Iowa, but then my whole adult life was in Breckenridge, Colorado as a
Okay.
snowboard trainer instructor. Yeah.
Yeah. Which for all of
So,
you coming to the Forbidden Journey retreat, Christina knows all the spots.
yeah. Breck is my home for like, yeah, 20
Yes.
years. It was, I love, yeah.
Yes, but you're like, why don't you just come up and visit me? Because you were getting ready to go back to New Zealand.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay, you know what? Let me come up for the weekend. And that is the weekend for all of you who've been following for a while. If you haven't, back in 2020, I had a very interesting experience in Breckenridge at your place. That was a very interesting, that was the weekend I found out my good friend Jessica passed away. You and I were on a hike when I found out.
Oh my gosh.
That was crazy. And then that was also the night I had some crazy activation in your guest bedroom, listening to the sound of the rushing river, like the creek right by your home.
Yeah.
And had apparitions of a shaman standing in the water. Like weird shit happens when we're together.
This is the beginning of it. Yeah. We're like, and at the time it was kind of like, wow, understandable, but kind of strange. Now it's totally normal. But like, I feel like this is just the start of it. Like, this is really cool. The shaman.
Yeah.
The shaman.
Which, how crazy is it now? We're going to go back to Breck, you and we're going to host the retreat. And I mean, for all of you listening, I'm hopefully going to be doing a video before this podcast airs on one of the shamanic experience I just had a few days ago with a jaguar. But I am getting all these shamanic initiations through my plant medicine journeys. And I know it's all prepping me for this upcoming retreat that we're going to be doing. And so, okay. First of all, this is just the synchronicities with you and I are so wild. Go back to 2008 when we're in Costa Rica. And within 3 days of me being there, I get an email from my mom telling me that my Nana passed away. And
oh my God.
I was like, obviously I was devastated. My only 2 living grandparents that I knew from when I was a baby. And I didn't know if I should leave the teacher's training and come home for the funeral. And my mom was like, no, stay. And so my roommate was Hawaiian, and she, remember Alyssa, I think, and she made me a beautiful flower lei to go honor my Nana down at the water at sunset. And so I went down there with Brienne and Rebecca, and we did this incredible ceremony. I read something to her at sunset, and then I threw the lei in the water, and then the girls and I just started jumping through the waves to celebrate my Nana's life. And then I think it was 2 days later, you got the same call.
Yeah. That was insane. So I got the same exact call, and I was going through the same thing. I was like, should I go back? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, yeah.
Was it your Nana grandma? Like,
yeah, my grandmother.
Yeah, your grandmother.
It was insane.
And so Alyssa made you a lei, I think.
Yes.
And we went, I remember I have a picture of you. We went down to the water, and you made a tribute to your grandmother.
Totally. And you know what's so interesting too? Gosh, this is fascinating. You helped me set up my Facebook profile.
I did?
Yeah. Like everyone was like, oh, Facebook. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. And you're like, Christina, you have to have one. And I was like, I don't know, man. I'm like, I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
And where did it go? Tell the audience where it went. What have you been doing?
No, everything. But I think it's hilarious because like now Facebook's enormous. And at the time we're just like, oh yeah, maybe we'll do a little profile. We can all keep in touch. And now it's like, it's just the way we communicate. So I think it's so interesting. So not only it's like 2 pivotal points. It's almost like this like death and then this other whole reality.
In many ways, though, do you not feel like, okay, so it was the death of both of our grandmothers, but it was kind of like the birth of a new part of us.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. It was like, and the other thing I think was so representative of like, it's almost like I knew what to do because you had done, it's like you didn't go back and like we did the lei and I was like, okay, well, as devastating as it is, we were going through the same thing and it was okay. And we did all the things and it was total death and rebirth. That's so interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and now you're doing so much, like, for everyone. So you do, I mean, you were doing all these yoga retreats, you were doing surf retreats, you're a massage therapist, like I was a massage therapist, like, so there's a lot of different things, and healing wise that, we've been working with, but both of us have evolved so much even from there. So it was so crazy because Christina invited me to come up to Breck that weekend in 2020. It was the Labor Day weekend. And, or maybe it was the weekend right before Labor Day. And then I came up again the next weekend, which was Labor Day. I can't remember. It was something like along those lines. And you're like, will you read my Akashic records? And I'm like, I don't know. I've never really read anyone's Akashic records, even though I'm constantly tapping into it when I'm doing work with clients. But you know how you have this concept of like, what does it actually look like? And what does it actually mean? And you're like, no, you can practice on me. Like, let's do it. And I said, okay, I'll bring up my cards. You have your cards. And we kind of totally did this thing. And, when I was tapping into your Akashic records, I asked you, I'm like, because there was like your inner child was coming up. And I was like, do you paint? She said, no, but you were thinking about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I just feel like your inner child really wants you to paint. And I don't know why, but you got to paint. Okay. For everyone who's watching on YouTube, or maybe you're watching on Spotify, if you're listening, you can't see it right now, but look in the background and look at all of her artwork. You started that as soon as you got back to New Zealand after we had that session, and you started painting all this stuff. And I'm like, you mean you've never picked up a paintbrush and painted that? And that's what you started with? Like that's insane to me.
So, oh my, I can't even tell you what a block that cleared, because for the whole time I've been in New Zealand since that, like, I have an art career now. I'm a surf artist. I have exhibitions. I sell my art online. The crazy stuff comes through my art. Like, it's all like connected to the ocean, connected to other spaces. And it resonates with a lot of soulful people who love the ocean. And it's just been stratospheric. So because I'd never painted before we talked about that day. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm going to be a surf artist.
I know. And then I saw you posting your stuff on Instagram and I'm like, hold on a second. She's been lying to me. She's been painting, and then the fact that this is just what happened, like, you are clearly, you're just channeling, you're letting it flow through you. And you absolutely are
crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's stunning. Your work is stunning and you have so much. I mean, that's just a small amount of like, what you've produced and created. But I think that was a cool moment for both of us, because
Huge.
I was like, I've never really been able to, or at least, this is the whole problem with, well, it's not really a problem, but it's definitely an issue that we all kind of come up against when we're moving into more of this intuitive work, learning to trust our intuition, guiding others through that intuition and connection. Like, is the information I'm getting correct? Is it linked truly to what you need to hear? And there's no true way of really knowing until you've done it more and you start to understand certain feelings that you get in your body, the way your body responds to certain information. And that's why I say, everyone, get in your body. If you are not in your body when you're doing intuitive work, you will never be a good intuitive healer, intuitive guide, coach. You have to be in your body. So if you have a really shitty relationship with your body, if you're not moving, if you're not active, you need to be in your body in order for your intuition to heighten and develop to the levels that it possibly can. Wouldn't you agree?
I would 100% agree. And you know what's so interesting that you say that, because I'm just thinking this now, because of our background and because I've been such an athlete with all the sports that I've done, I'm so in tune with your body, and your main priority is your body too. Mm-hmm. Like, we're so like that. Yeah. Like, it's our body, it's our health. And then we kind of, that's definitely a huge priority. And being able to decipher what different things mean based on sport and based on massage and based on yoga. It's almost like that helped us. I feel like that helps me, that has helped me. And it definitely is a huge asset. You have to get into your body.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree, because if you don't, or if you're not present, then you don't understand what the signs that you're being sent are, even if, even the smallest signs.
I know. Yeah. And it's like, there's so much, your body is a messenger system.
100%.
So and the more you move, this is why you don't see animals staying still all the time. They're constantly moving. That's why their intuition, their sense are so heightened, because they're constantly moving. And I think that's one of the things, like when we start leading a very sedentary kind of lifestyle, or we stop doing the things that actually keep us healthy, or you just choose not to be in your body. A lot of people, if you've had trauma, whatever, you're not comfortable, you don't feel safe in your body. So you have a very dissociated relationship with your body. It's so important to connect to the body. And it just I don't think it receives enough attention when people are trying to develop their intuition, because they think it's all up here, but your body's the messenger system. It's what
100%,
carries all the information. So, that's really cool. So I mean, looking at your art, it's incredible. And you're now like, okay, so the audience, this was 2020, this was 3 years ago, almost. We're coming up on that 3-year anniversary. And so much has changed.
I know. Huge. And I think your audience can agree, because I've watched the whole journey with everybody. It's just like time is moving really quickly and slowly at the same time. So it's like, I can't believe how much I've done and how much I've stayed still. So
I know. And so you've now been studying and working. Well, you worked with a shaman in Australia. You were over in Australia working with a shaman for quite some time. And you've been studying Bruce Lipton's, he's a big advocate for Psych-K. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So you did a session on me last week. And you're like, I got to try this out on you. I want you to try it. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And it was super cool. And so why don't you tell the audience a little bit about, one, what drew you to it, and like, why did you decide to follow through with it and learn it, and now starting to use it with your own clients?
That's such a good question. It's so awesome. So even though I've been doing art full time, and I absolutely love it, obviously my background is in well-being and massage and yoga, and I do nutrition and I do a lot of coaching around that. And I have a degree in psychology. So I was always like, this is great. And even when I coach nutrition or coach health and well-being, I was like, I always have to coach the emotions and stuff. And that we always have to kind of get through like, okay, what's the block here first? And then I can tell you what to eat or what to do. So interestingly enough, I was like looking for a missing link, and this, and I know your audience knows this, is like, once you start asking the question, it's like, what can possibly help me if I want to get back into healing and coaching and energy medicine and all that kind of stuff? Because there's a missing link there. It's not psychology anymore. We're moving more energetically. We're moving more into an energetic field. And we're also, I feel like we're going through different traumas, and collectively it's been crazy town. So I was just looking for something that was going to bridge that gap and help us, my clients, not only work through traumas, but then optimize their health, because I feel like everybody's looking for that optimization and that being the best you can be just every day. And so I was drawn to, I love Bruce Lipton. I think biology of belief. I think that there's definitely, obviously, like you were talking about, something between the body, the mind, and the soul. And since we live 90% of our day in our subconscious mind, and all of our subconscious beliefs are drawn from the first 7 years of our life, and they're almost running on autopilot. So getting to the root of the subconscious beliefs that might be hindering you sounded like a great idea.
Yeah. And it's truly like, your belief holds a frequency, which then starts to attract the matching frequencies to make that belief come true.
Exactly. It's so simple.
If you have a belief that you don't like what it's attracting in, like, you've got to shift the belief to shift the frequency to then not bring in the match that frequency Yeah.
Exactly. So Psych-K, it was interesting because like my friend was like, oh, Psych-K is really cool. And I was like, I don't know. And I'm the kind of person, you know me, I'm like all in. Like when I wanted to be an artist, I was like, okay, I'm going to do 50 pieces. I'm going to do like 3 exhibitions. Like I'm all in.
Yes.
So I went to Australia.
That's why we get along so well. We're so similar that way.
I was like, okay, well, we're going to learn healing. I'm going to be a master by the time I get done with this. So I was like, Psych-K. And so I go to the top and I go to this woman who like runs all these Psych-K courses around the world. She's absolutely amazing. I love her. And I just called her and I was like, I want to book a session. She's like, it's this much money, which is a lot per hour. I was like, I don't care. We're doing it. And it was so simple. I was like, oh, I'm in. It was just like, how's your life now? And where do you want it to be? And I was like, that's it. I didn't have to describe anything. It wasn't like psychology. It wasn't like I had to go through my past and dig out all this crap that I didn't want to dig out. It's just like, how do you want it to be? It's like, okay, this is how you want it to be. Let's change that program. Boom, takes minutes. That's it. And so I was like, okay, I need to learn this because it was so powerful that my nervous system immediately started to settle just on all this stuff I didn't even know I was carrying around. So I went and I got trained in, basic, advanced, masters. I was like there for, a month. And in between that time, and you'll appreciate the synchronicity here. So I was learning the Psych-K. So Psych-K is based on muscle testing as well.
Yeah.
Kinesiology, which has been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also kind of the idea of power versus force. I can describe that in a second. But so I went to the Psych-K things and, right before I went to Australia, and I haven't traveled in like a couple of years. I used to travel all the time. Right before I went, I was teaching a yoga class here, and I was like, "Hey, does anybody know anybody in the Gold Coast that surfs?" And one of the ladies was like, "Oh yeah, I know my friend surfs, and he's like a healer too. So maybe you would think, maybe you guys could have good conversations." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that sounds cool." So I call him. And he's like, yeah, you can stay with me. And for the 5 days in between your course. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. Needless to say, he is a shaman and he deals totally with kinesiology and something called master switch. And so I was like, oh my God, of course you do. Master switch. And so that's an energy medicine, which leads off everything that I had learned in the kinesiology with Psych-K, and then just gave it another whole dimension of energy medicine and energy healing on a whole different level. So
it's almost like it boosted it.
It totally boosted it. And what's so interesting is, of course, I couldn't have learned what I learned from him if I wouldn't have gone to the Psych-K. So it was really interesting. And then
it's the whole thing is when you're ready, the teacher will appear or the student will appear, like, yeah.
And I had no idea. Like he just picked me up and we're like, oh, we're going to go surfing. I was like, sweet. Okay. And I was like, what do you do? He's like, I do this stuff. And I was like, oh my God. So I did an intensive, funny enough, of course, there wasn't hardly any surf. So I was like, okay, well, won't we do some healings? So I ended up being his first kind of apprentice for the 5 days.
Oh,
and we just did healings and healings and healings. And he was teaching me about it. And I was like, this is amazing. And so by the time I left, we had kind of discussed how to set up kind of a system that he could share this energy modality a little bit more. And so I've been studying that and doing Master Switch and Psych-K with my clients now. And it's been absolutely amazing.
So I remember you were telling me you had a client who had almost a next day complete switch in her reality.
Yes. Yeah. So it's really interesting with Psych-K and with Master Switch, but with Psych-K, because you transform the subconscious beliefs, and a lot of people have subconscious beliefs. I work with people with injuries, arthritis and money blocks. And I was actually working with this woman recently, and she had this money block about receiving money and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, well, let's just get rid of it and see what happens. And so, you do a little balance, which doesn't take very long. And you do something in both of these modalities. Obviously there's muscle testing, but you do this letting go technique, which brings us back to, Nicole, what you were saying about being in touch with your body,
Mm-hmm.
because basically our traumas are stored in our body.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as we locate the trauma, like if you have anxiety about money and you do a balance or you do the letting go technique, you're going to find that anxiety in some part of your body, whether it's your heart or your belly or your jaw or whatever. And once you locate it, you can let it go, passes through the system, and then you can, change that belief. And literally the next day, so we removed this block of abundance. And then literally the next day she calls me, she's like, Christine, you're not going to believe it, but I got 15 grand from a sponsor. I was like, what? So it's just like, in some things take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And, but I just was like, the amount of times that has happened to my clients just from 1 or 2 sessions, I mean, it does not hurt. Let me tell you, if it calms your nervous system, if it brings in more abundance, but I feel like this is exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for the missing link. I was like, why are my clients why are my clients not getting the result that I want quickly? And it's like, if we remove the subconscious belief, which is 95% of what's running our programs, then it's clear to go and optimize. So now I can be like, oh, okay, well, what do you want? And let's optimize your system. And how are you going to eat? And if you believe, if we switch your subconscious belief to that, you're going to be happy, healthy, and heal from an injury quicker, then we switch that subconscious belief, and then we can work on your nutrition and your exercise and all that kind of stuff, not having to worry that you are blocking it or self-sabotaging it the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the life-changing. So I am doing that with one-on-ones and with my coaching programs. And it's been
and it was so crazy because while you were doing all of that, working with the shaman and everything, doing your master switch, I was on my ayahuasca journey, and I went in outside the matrix, went into my own program vault and started like pulling old programs that I was like, I'm so done with this one. Like, I don't want this one anymore. And it was so interesting to have that awareness while I was in my ayahuasca journey, to be like, well, if I'm outside the program, then that means I can pull the programs. And like, then you were like, Nicole. So just so you guys know, for those of you who are at the Forbidden Journey retreat, we have so much fun in store for you on what we're going to be doing. Like, we're going to be prepping you so that when you go into your main journey, like you're going to be so clear, you're going to be like so ready to receive. And like, even just in my most recent mushroom journey that I did, that I shared with you a couple days ago, for those of you that are going to be there, and for those of you, maybe you're still thinking of coming, you're sitting on the fence, you're not sure, because I know there's a few of you out there, you've been reaching out to me. You are all going to have a Kundalini awakening. I'm just saying it right now because I cannot escape. When I say escape, I cannot avoid having a Kundalini, full-blown Kundalini, like flowing through me. It's now just part of my journeys. Like, it's just, and what I was shown in my, my most recent mushroom journey was I was given visions of the actual retreat and what we're going to be doing. And I'm seeing like us all going through this movement. And so we go back to the body. You guys are going to be dancing. You're going to be moving like towards the end of your journey. And it's what it does is it fully activates and integrates. It aligns everything. So we talk about like the programming, everything, but this energy that moves through you is so freaking powerful that it's like so when you and I were talking about this idea of programming and how, how long does it take for the new program to go in? Like how long, the one thing that I find, especially with plant medicine, which you've also got experience with plant medicine.
Yes. Yep, definitely.
Is that I realized in my ayahuasca journey that the reason why plant medicine is so powerful for people, where they'll go in with an addiction to smoking and come out and never smoke a cigarette again in their life, or, maybe they're addicted to, I don't know, heroin or something, and they'll come out and they'll never touch it again, crazy stuff like that, where it's because the energy that moves through you, the experience is so fucking vivid and real. And I apologize for anyone who's got kids around, earmuffs. but like so vivid, so real that you literally are believing it's happening. And it is happening. It's not that it's not happening, but you're so in it. The colors, the feelings, the energy that's moving through you. It's such a real experience beyond like having to repeat something over and over in this kind of daily life where it's a little bit mundane and all that. It just creates a new neural pathway that's so deeply embedded. Like it's just like now the energy is moving down there. Like this is the new pathway. And I just know that what we're going to achieve at the Forbidden Journey retreat is along those lines, because I mean, we're going to open the heart with the cacao. We're going to go through a lot of emotional stuff. We're going to sit down with the programs. We're going to find out like the soul fractals. We're going to find out which soul fractals really need to come home. And when you bring them home, you're going to dance them home. Like you're dancing them into your own heart. It's going to be so much fun.
I know. And I'm so excited because it's so funny because it's like we're so on the same thing. So I've done this reprogramming stuff and then introducing new programs in a completely different way. And now we're stratospherically doing that together with plant medicine, which I've also taken part in. And, you know, with plant medicine, the cool thing is that it just gets rid of your frontal lobe. It's just like, there's no barrier to imagination and expansion and everything like that.
I know.
I feel like that's why it's so strong. And you and I providing just that container that's just going to be like, I mean, epic.
I know.
So I feel like the whole thing that we're doing around, installing those new programs. I think that's so interesting that you had that on your last journey, because if anything, you're gonna come out like new.
Oh my God, you're gonna. It's like a whole new. It's like that transformation. It's a rebirth. It's a total rebirth. It's going to be an absolute rebirth. And when I talk about this too, like I have been. There's just so much I want to tell my audience that that I received, but like. I've been doing so much work with the womb space, you know, for those of you who took my womb of activation course, which is available still, like it's now just an online course that you can move through. There's 4 different activations in there, but like, I'm now starting to see how important the womb is in, at least for my own teachings and my own shamanic work and what I'm doing with other people, because I'm literally helping people rebirth themselves.
Yes.
And it's wild. It's like, this is what's so cool about doing your healing work. And you know, like this, listen, it's not that the healing journey is easy by any stretch of the imagination. My audience, you guys are all fully aware of like the highs and the lows. And I've been very honest and vocal about how hard the last year has been for me. But like, one of the things that came through in this particular journey, which I did right after I did my inner child clearing last week, which was massive for me, like just a 2-hour solid cry of like really kind of going into all the emotions that I had been suppressing for a year, because I literally couldn't afford to feel them to get through to what I needed to get through and to achieve what I needed to achieve. But as soon as I was like, you know what, though, those feelings are there. I got to sit with them. I'm going to purge them. I purged them, and then it just like cleared the whole way. All my creativity started flowing again. All my desire to do this or whatever. I cleared my inner child. We did that clearing. I put up that inner child video on my Instagram. It went freaking viral. It's the most viral video I've ever put out on any platform. It's almost at 6 million views. It's like crazy. And so like my account boosted up to past now 20,000 like followers. And that was from me doing that inner child clearing, that 2-hour cry. And so it was such a nice confirmation for me to know how important it is. But where I'm getting to is that once you really kind of go through and you keep moving through your healing, there's always layers, but like you move through this healing, and then there's the rewards on the other side. And the rewards are so sweet, because you are now, when you go through your healing, you are converting the toxins of your past into the nectar of your now. And that is what is so powerful when you come into your healing. And so right now, I feel like I'm starting to reap the rewards of my now nectar, and it's flowing. And it's like, in my mushroom journey, I was shown, and the voice was so clear. They're like, your life and your work is only going to get better and better and better from this point on. Like, it's only going to get better. And I felt it. And I'm like, so excited for everything that I'm going, like, I've got planned, and like, even the vision I shared with you about like the red rocks, you know, and holding like this big ceremony for women, like fertility wise, like, guys, it's wild. Like, I don't want to put everything into this podcast, but like, there's so much power in that. So definitely there's going to be a rebirth at the retreat, and you and I are going to be there a day before so that we can prime the whole place energetically.
Yeah.
It's going to be so good.
I think it's also interesting, and you're at that sweet nectar moment, which is so cool to talk about now, because you've done all the work.
Well, I haven't done all the work, but I've done a lot of work.
I mean, yeah, you've done a lot. We've done a lot. You did a lot of work, which is so funny and so interesting. Is that when we first met, we were also going through a death and rebirth.
Yes,
we actually had a death and rebirth, and now we're coming through another one. And we're also going to start to facilitate that journey with a lot of people, because I do feel like that we're both in that space in different ways.
True. You know, I just realized even when we were in 2020, I mean, obviously the death of my friend, but I also had the death of friendships happening, very important friendships. You were leaving Colorado to go to New Zealand, you know, like, you were going through deaths in relationships and rebirths, you know, like crazy. Yeah.
And that now I think it's so cool to see the light.
Are you a Scorpio?
No, Pisces.
Okay. Okay, so Cancer, Pisces. All right.
And I think, I am so excited about the retreat. One, it's where I love Breckenridge, where we've had a lot of our experiences as well. But like, I feel like it's such a powerful place. And it's so grounding and Breck. It's just surrounded by mountains, and you're just like literally like nestled in there. And then with us creating a space for everything, I think it's going to be just amazing.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, Christina and I don't go anywhere unless there's a hot tub there. So there's going to be there's a hot tub. We're going to be, and you know, there's going to be some bubbles and wine and all that for like post journey and all that kind of stuff, you know, if you want, because, you know, there's always room for a few bubbles.
I know. Always. I love it.
But it's going to be really great. And so, you know, so you've been doing this subconscious programming, this master switch, which I think is so cool. And I want to say, like, when you were working with me and doing that work, it was like you were muscle testing, and I was really weak on that. Remember that one, I was like, okay, let's make this the new program. And when I was saying it, you're like, yeah, that's really weak. So you had to do the master switch with me, all that kind of stuff. And then when I was ready, I went in, and you're like, yeah, it's strong. It's like really good. And I was like, yeah, no, I feel it. And then, of course, you wanted to add in a physical, fireworks just went outside my home. Literally, like, against my
oh my God, that's awesome.
I don't know what that is a sign of, but celebration.
Yeah,
We're just gonna take a celebration. Where, you know, I was like, I did this like hair toss, like, because like, of course, it's so easy, you know, and I just add this like element of fun to it because I want my belief program to be fun and like easy.
Exactly.
And we were going to work on another program, and it was already fixed through the first one.
Yeah. And so that was a Psych-K balance I did with you, which was, it's so cool, because sometimes you can be like, you know, for example, you know, one balance can just, it's almost like the butterfly effect. It just gets rid of all of the other things that could have been in the way. So if you have a block to giving and receiving love or whatever, that's going to take care of all your relationships. Yeah. Like, I want to give and receive love. Okay, that's great. And I want to have a better relationship with my family. Oh, that's fixed. Oh, okay. I want to have a better community that, you know, where I make a ton of money and people respect me. Okay, that's fixed. So it's so interesting how that one balance can take care of like a whole bunch of different things. Yeah. Because that was that one subconscious program that you just had to take out, which is so funny when we were talking about your journey that you literally took out your programs. It was like, oh, I didn't need that anymore.
I know.
Like,
I know.
so I haven't, side, and then you put an extra, and that's exactly what I do.
I mentioned it on a post on YouTube, but I didn't put it in a video yet. So for all you guys who did listen to my ayahuasca journey, that was a video I made it a podcast, where it was, breaking the fourth wall, which I did. I broke the fourth wall. I exited the matrix. I was pulled through a slipstream that was created through my ayahuasca journey. And the only way I would know is if the programs that were removed were indeed removed and the new ones installed, was to see how my life would turn out. Like, there's no way of really knowing until your actual, and I can't get into too many details here because it's very personal, but Christina can vouch for it.
Yes, 100%.
Because you know all the stories.
Yes.
And I can now say that there are 2 programs that I have removed and installed the new ones, and they are both already like in full effect, to the point where like I can't almost comprehend.
And I can't either.
It's crazy.
Crazy. Yeah.
This is how powerful. First of all, I want to say this is how powerful our mind is.
Yes. 100%.
This is also why I am such a huge advocate for plant medicine. If you feel called to it, only if you feel called to it.
I agree.
And I think like what's so mind blowing and what I'm realizing is that when I pulled programs, I also had to jump into a new timeline.
Yeah.
And I'm now in a new timeline where I'm just like, it's almost like I've, when you move, okay, we traveled a lot. You and I both traveled a lot, and you travel to a new city that in a country you've never been to before. You don't speak the language. You're just trying to get your bearings, and you kind of feel a little disoriented. That's how I've been feeling. I've been feeling a little disoriented, and I'm like, where am I going? What is this place? What is going on? Like, it's magical. You love it. You're like in awe of like all the beauty of the new place, right? But you're like, huh? And so I am realizing how important, like, it's so crazy because this is what we're talking about. You just do one thing and you quantum jump a whole bunch of other shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And you can do that in different ways. And both of us work with plant medicine. Both of us work with coaching and working with all this space in different ways, but it's the programs that we're getting rid of. And then once you clear it, then you're in a whole different dimension.
I mean, it's a whole new reality. It's a whole new reality.
And just even talking to you about it, like, and talking to my clients about how we're doing different things. It's like, you just can't even believe it. You step into this and it's like, what? It's so interesting.
Yeah. And I have to say, I'm so glad. One of like the big blessings that came through, like even like 2020 was such a polarizing time for our whole entire, and it's still, things are still polarized. However, like I've really removed myself from a lot of the polarization, which, that was one of the biggest blessings to my whole journey. Was I know, and I'm guilty of this. I totally am. I was polarized on my channel. I was delivering content that was like, definitely more sided towards one than another. And I was getting caught up in a lot of the politics and all of the crap that was going on out there, the fear porn and all that stuff. And, trying to rise above it in a way, but really, truly what I needed to do was I really needed to take a step back and look at how it was affecting me, and how like really allowing all the bull crap out there that's going on and that this beautiful matrix creates for us.
It can be beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. It really is. Like, even when I think back to my journey, the ayahuasca, and they told, and this person that I reconnected with, and I'm just calling it a person because I don't know what else to call it. Told me, like, remember, you agreed to go into the program. You agreed to go in with these programs and to enter into this program to do like the work that you're going to do. Yeah. And it's just part and parcel for what, like, it's all part of the whole deal. It's the package. And there's good and bad in everything. And I think I've never been so grateful to pull away from a lot of the polarization of all different sides, because I was able to finally focus on this work. And this work is way more freaking fascinating and
Huge.
way more like enriching. Like it
Yeah.
nourishes my soul. It's taking me to levels that I've never knew I was capable of. And I think it just goes to show you, like, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you think you stand on. Like, if you're going to get stuck in all that BS that's out there, whether you believe it or you don't believe it, it doesn't matter. It's like, just focus on you, focus on the world you want to create, focus on your connection, focus on the people around you, focus on the people you're in touch with, focus on like what it is that you want to create. What is it that you want to deliver to this world? Okay, you don't like the world. What's your solution? Don't
Yeah.
find your solution out in the problem. Your solution doesn't reside in the problem. Your solution is somewhere else, and you've got to rise up into that frequency where the solution is. And I almost feel in a way I owe my audience a big freaking apology. Like I carry, like, I've never actually said this out loud, and maybe I've said it to a friend or two, but I actually carry sometimes some guilt about, I feel like I was negligent in my path, which I know I wasn't, because it was my path and it was my healing and I had to go through it. And like, you're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be fully healed, and there's lessons that you learn. But I do feel like I did some of my audience a disservice at some points by being stuck in that, but maybe I needed to be stuck in it and get out of it to show others how to get out of it when they're stuck in it. I don't know.
Well, I think that's a really good point. I don't think there's any way that we couldn't have gone through that journey, especially for that first year, without being a little bit polarized. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no way. We didn't know how to deal with anything.
Yeah.
So I think the other thing is just to be able, and this, and this is interesting that we're talking about this. I'm getting chills as well. I think this past year and what we're rolling into is all about self-love. It's all about forgiving that person that was polarized and whatever, you don't believe that now happened, and loving that person just like your inner child, and just being like, you know what, whatever I did, we're all one. I figured it out now. Like, there's love. I want to get into my intuition. I want people to get into their intuition. I want to bring love and abundance and all this cool stuff. I think that we all had to go through that, like that uncomfortable journey to bust into who we are. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it was beautiful to go through the whole journey, because you're like a lot of the people that obviously, that I resonate with. Is like, we were polar for a little while and then we're like, ooh, I don't like this because I love everybody. Okay, great. Let's get in touch with the self. Now we're into where we are, and it couldn't have happened any other way because it didn't. But I just have so much honor for you for speaking out, because you also brought together a community that needed to be together at the time.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I know, like, some of that community is
Oh,
still with me and some of that community is gone, and they've gone
yeah,
together, like they found each other. And I think
yeah,
that's wonderful. It's beautiful and it's
it's
great.
awesome.
And I'm so glad that it
Yeah,
was able to facilitate that, to bring certain people together and make those connections, because that's what's really important in this journey, is to feel connected, to be
yeah,
connected, to know that you have
100%.
people in your corner. Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Is it's funny. I think I've told you this, but I'm developing this course now about witnessing clarity, alignment, and fulfillment. And it's all about bringing together your dream team. And you've done that with your alchemy group and with us, and and all the groups that you bring together in this retreat. I feel like we're coming back into like, okay, now we know who we are, or now we're getting closer to who we are without all those subconscious blocks. And then we're attracting our communities in so strongly and developing this fulfilling life, just like you said, around creating your own life around who you actually are now. So
Yeah.
I think what you're doing is so, I mean, I just love you, you know that, but I just love what you've
Love
created.
you.
It's so powerful. And we all go through whatever we're going through. And I just feel like, man, the last 3 years, like since Colorado, it has not been easy, man. Holy cow.
I
It's like,
know.
since 2020. So it's been an interesting ride.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
there's been so many like divisive things that have come about, but in a way, the really great, the beautiful part of division,
Yes,
is that it creates such a vast separation that eventually the only option left is to come back together.
oh my, yeah,
Right? Like
yeah.
that's what it's really all about. When you think about, like, when we come into this world, we believe like we are separate now. We are not one with the creator. You know, we have this body, and like everything's all about getting separated. And we go through this continuous journey of separation, but then like eventually you get to a point where you're so separated that the only option left you have is to come back together. And I think that's what's going to happen. And I honestly don't have any fear whatsoever about the state of our world and where it's going to go. I know that no matter how dark it'll get here, it's always going to end up getting brighter again. So it's just, there's just too much crap out there constantly feeding the fear virus, you know, and it's truly a virus. Like I saw something the other day that made me so sad, and I'm not going to say what it was, but I saw a post from someone that I really like and respect. But I saw this post, and from their post, I could tell that they have spent so much time down the conspiracy rabbit holes that they now no longer understand good from bad, bad from good, truth from fiction. It's like the conspiracy hole, as much as it's necessary to go down, like, because there are truths in there. There are truths, but there's also a lot of, it's a sickness. And that's why a lot of negative entities will actually hang out in like those kind of darker parts of the internet, in that you develop a sickness where you actually don't look for the light anymore. You only look for the darkness. And that's what I was seeing in this post. And I'm like, and what I saw was so false in this post. I know for a fact that it was false, because I know the people that this post was talking about, and I know what has gone on in the behind the scenes. And I'm just like, literally people doing God's work and now making them out to be the demons. And I'm like, this is the problem with the conspiracy community, is that you stay there too long and you hang out there for like ever. You start to develop a sickness where all you actually are looking for is the darkness. That's all you're looking for, is the evil. And so guess what? You're going to see it even when it's not there, even when it's not there.
And that's just like talking about those beliefs. And fear, so interestingly enough, fear is so low on the emotional scale, on the scale of consciousness, that it doesn't hold a strong charge either. Yeah. And you're going to attract more of that lower field of consciousness. And you're going to be also, fortunately or unfortunately, the world is collectively at a lower state of consciousness. But the good thing is that the people are at the, more loving, more connected stage, even the stage of reason, are at a high level of consciousness, and that can actually help everybody. So that just brings us back to the idea is, if you can allow yourself to do the inner work and use your intuition and use your love, then that can actually help everybody without getting trapped down in the lower vibrations, because that's really easy to get. It's really easy to do.
Yeah. It's too easy. Sure. It's a slippery slope. It's a really slippery slope. And, I often hear like, because when you get down into those kind of holes for too long, and that's all you're looking at. It's all you're looking at is like one conspiracy after another, and you're not really coming up for air and engaging your reality here and enjoying like what is true and what is, what happens is that you can't discern fact from fiction anymore, because there's always like lies mixed in with the truth. There's always misinformation mixed in with the truth. And what happens is that you no longer you've not been taking the time to learn your own body's response of discernment of what's true or not, because you're too stuck in other people's realities or versions of the truth that you're not even paying attention to your own version of reality anymore. And I know that because I've been there. I've been there. And so, you know, like having to pull yourself out of it is so important. And just to take a breather, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have its place. It absolutely has its place. I think there's some good work going on in there, but oh man, like with anything, moderation, you know?
I think it's just so fascinating, because I just feel like you said earlier, we're all coming back to what we feel in the body and our intuition, and following what we feel. And it's I was going to say, about, it's also when, because if you start down the rabbit hole, regardless of what side you're on, that's the other thing that I think, you know, you and I are helping people work with, is breaking down the identity. It's like, I'm nothing, you know, we're all one. It's like, you know, we're all love, really.
Yeah.
And so when you start to identify with things outside of you, it's a really different road than when you're associating everything with inside of you and then attracting.
And this is actually one of the components within my Forbidden Journey program, which is going to be, we're going to do this at the retreat. I do this in my one-to-one coaching that's being released this week. And it's like, I created a treaty agreement between the dark and light sides of you. And so there's this whole treaty agreement, which each person can rewrite in their own words, or, you know, add things to, but it's understanding that how do you bring the sides of you so that you're allies versus enemies, you know, and you've got to understand that there's a purpose behind each side. And so it's like, eventually this world's going to get to a point where the sides are going to realize we need to come up with a treaty agreement here, where we have to understand, like, there's a point where I'm going to be doing the work here, and like, listen to me for this, and then we're going to listen to you for this, and like whatever. And it's just understanding there's roles and there's value into both of those things. And so I think, again, all it is just all that we're seeing with this division is just a macrocosm of the sickness of soul fractal, scattered soul fractals across, your own life timeline, and having to go back and recollect certain fractals that you need for now, because you're going to start to realize, and this is definitely something that everyone's going to also move through in the Forbidden Journey program, especially at the retreat, is you're going to tap into a power that comes from your darkness, but it's going to be a nourishing power that you've mastered, that it no longer has power over you, but you know how to utilize it in ways that will catapult your life to ignite your passion, your purpose, and put you in a position to heal even faster. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, is that there is so much power in your own darkness when you learn how to heal it and become one with it, confront it, face it, work with it, and then understand its value. And how do you then go through that alchemical process where you don't ever turn all your darkness into light, but are saying that it doesn't have power over you anymore. You've become the master of both your dark and light sides. And I think that's important. And there's a huge power in that. And that's something that I have noticed. Have you noticed that from your own journey?
Yes, it's huge. And just in another spin, like, I've been working with archetypes. So we all have 13 archetypes. And there's always like a different side to each archetype, like a dark and a light side, just like you were talking about. And there's times and spaces for different archetypes to come through.
Yeah.
I think it's so fascinating. Like, what you're talking about is like, you can find nourishment in the dark and you can find nourishment in the light. And it's knowing almost when and how to facilitate your life through those archetypes, or through that dark and light presence.
Yeah. Like, for instance, just so I can put it into context for people who are listening. So obviously I went through sexual trauma as a child, and I started to abuse my own sexual needs, or like my own energy, my sexual energy, because I never dealt with the trauma. It was just haunting me, from the background, but I didn't know like that it was truly haunting me until like I was ready to confront it. But like now, because I've confronted some of the demons of my own sexual trauma and the power that was used against me and my fear of power and what happens. And then also the power of my own sexual energy, I actually used against men, you know, like when I was in like my really dark phase in my late 20s and early 30s. And, but then, you know, now that I've gone through a lot of the healing, I can tap into that sexual energy, that power that is so incredibly potent that it is like powering up so much more for me now, like being able to manifest, create, get inspired, pull things into my reality, create courses, create programs, like the healing that I'm doing with some of my clients now. Like I took a client on a guided journey recently, and oh my God, like incredible breakthroughs that you just, like, there's just, it's fascinating. I am so honored to be doing this work. Like I feel so blessed to be in this life, to be in this body, to do this work, to work with others who are willing to trust me, to create a safe enough container to allow them to explore their own stuff. And it's like, and I see this happening, and this client confronted some stuff that he's been avoiding and running from for decades, you know, and finally faced it and was able to move through all the different emotions and then get to the compassion and start to see the purpose and start to see all the different perspectives. And now it's not so scary. And it's like, yeah. And now you can tap into that power. Now that power doesn't own you. You get to work with it. And that's like pretty incredible.
That's huge. That's enormous. I feel like that's exactly what we are going through right now. And I feel like this journey is what we're doing, and what you're doing with your clients is exactly what's needed. And I feel like it's so huge, because the more people we can have that aren't holding on to the past, because it's something that is a perception and a trauma that we hold in the body anyway. It's not useful. So once we can harness that passion and power for something else, like you just said, create community, help other people do exactly what we want to do from our heart. I feel like that's where we're going. And it's the time for it. And it's so exciting, and it's so strong, and it's transformative.
I know. It truly is. And I feel like even like when we're talking about like this idea of self-love and how like it's a time of coming together, the nodes are about to change. They're moving out of Taurus, Scorpio, moving into Aries, Libra. And this is really going to put a focus on, a lot of the focus is going to be on who do we need to be? Who do we need to show up as? Who do we have the courage to show up as, in not just how we're going to lead our life, but also how we're showing up in our relationships. So there's going to be relationships are going to be huge and at the forefront for the next 18 months or so. And I think this is what's going to help build bridges in some cases, or others are still going to be going through like this, like, hey, this relationship isn't really serving me anymore. And I just don't think it's healthy for me to be in it. But then you're going to have relationships though that you do still want to be in. And you're like, what do I need to do to be better? What do I need to do to not be part of the codependent relationship and show up in the capacity that I know I'm capable of? You know, and that's going to be a big theme for all of us over the next 18 months. As the nodes of destiny and fate shift into Aries and Libra. So I'm really excited about that. And I even just think back into like 2004 to 2006, summer 2006, when like late 2004, middle of 2006, when the nodes were in Aries and Libra, like North Node in Aries. This was that time. And I think back, and that was a pivotal time for me. That was a huge time. Like for me, it's my 10th and 4th house. And 10th house is status, career, you know, all of those kinds of things, who you're showing up as in the world. But then also 4th house is home, inner world, you know, family life. And I moved first, like the first thing I did when the nodes switched is I moved into my first condo. I bought my first condo. I moved into that, and that was like a big deal. So I left living with living with my parents while I was saving up to move out. And then by the time the nodes were getting ready to shift again, I moved down to the Cayman Islands, and I moved again, and it was like a whole new adventure, and that also had to do with my job and my career. So like I actually changed jobs at the beginning of the nodal shift. And towards the end, I totally changed jobs. Like I went down to the Caribbean, and I was doing a whole new thing. And then that just like sparked off. So it's like, there's big changes that are coming up, and that's a good kind of period to kind of focus on, to see what were some of the really big changes in your life, that could be giving you hints and clues as to what might be coming up now. But
so you're saying this next node is going to be a pivotal about relationships and new experiences and maybe new careers?
For me, it was my 4th and 10th house. So 10th house is career, status, all of that kind of stuff. But what it did do though, was I had to be brave enough to say, yeah, this job isn't working out for me. And I know what I deserve. I wasn't being valued at that job. And there was people who were trying to recruit me to come to theirs. And I was like, you know what? They see my value. This one, but I felt like I still owed that person something, and I really didn't, but that's just my personality. Like I always feel like I need to owe someone way more than what they ever give me. And I had to like stand up for myself and say, who do I want to be? And like, if I want to grow, I have the courage to do it. And I was like, and these relationships aren't actually healthy for me. There were some unhealthy friendships in that workplace too, that were holding me back from actually doing what I wanted to do. And so then I moved there, and then I realized, oh, but like, how do I really want to live my life? Like that was good. And I worked there, and it was a fantastic place for me to work at. But then I was like, what am I doing with my life? Is this really how I'm going to show up? And that's when I made the big pivotal move that completely changed the whole course of my life, to leave Toronto, move down to the Caribbean. And then a year and a half later, do my 1-year sabbatical and like go traveling. And then like, that was just, it was a big time for me. Mind you, that was also during my Saturn return and all that kind of stuff. So like, but I think that this is, we're going to see a big focus here on reconnections. What can I do to be a better person in the relationships I truly care about? And what are the relationships that really aren't serving me that maybe I need to learn to let go of? They were coming in for that season. Maybe they're past their expiration date. Maybe it's just for not now, maybe down the road, who knows, never say never, but, yeah, I think so. But this has been so good having you on. I'm so excited to see you in September.
I know, it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited for the retreat, to come over, be back in Colorado. Yeah.
I know.
Be awesome.
So, okay. For anyone who's going to be coming to the retreat, what would be your message, or what are your visions? Like, what have you been getting, or your excitement about like what's going to be created that you can kind of allude to them?
Oh, I just think I can't even put it into words. I was trying to describe that. It's like, and your audience would know how it's just like, I feel it so strongly in my heart. It's almost like I want to cry, because it has this retreat, and when we've been talking about it, has so much love and has so much self-expansion. It's like we're bringing a little bit of ourselves and our journey, our whole journey, to people, to help them expand their journey and live in their intuition and their love, and in a place that I adore. It's just like the perfect storm, really. And I feel like it's just going to be transformative. It's going to be I can't even put it into words. I'm just beyond excited, and it's just joy and love to be involved in it.
It makes sense, because the heart is definitely going to be opened on that retreat. Yeah, there's going to be so much heart opening. And so, yeah, you're going to feel so expansive, and it's going to be definitely life-changing for all of us, you and me included.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
We're not exempt from that. I'm excited. Yeah. So, for anyone who would maybe like to work with you, like if they're interested in working with, maybe, this Psych-K and the master switch, and maybe removing some programs that they got, let them know how they can get in contact with you and what you've got going on until, you come out to Colorado.
So you can get a hold of me on swellfitliving.com is my website. I have my coaching program up there. It's a month-long coaching program that I'm taking clients for right now. It has Psych-K and master switch and any kind of health optimization that you want to do, doing that for a whole month with people. I'm taking on a couple more clients, like I said, and you can find out information on my website. Also, my beautiful art. I have an art store up also on my website, Swell Fit Living. So you can visit the art store. And and I'd love you to visit me on Instagram or Facebook as well as Swell Fit Living. And yeah, it's just been an absolute pleasure. And I am so excited about our journey that we've had together so far and our extended journey and our retreat too.
I know, because good shit happens when we get together. So
oh my God, epic shit happens when we get together. Like unbelievable.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Transformation, bubbles, hot tubs, mountains, like it's all good.
Stars. Oh my God, the stars.
Yeah.
Oh, and the mountains, the stars are so beautiful. So, I'm going to leave all the links for you guys in the audience to connect with Christina if you would like to. And of course, if you're ready to take the plunge and book your ticket, reserve your ticket to come to the Forbidden Journey Retreat in Breckenridge, Colorado. It is being held from September 28th through October 1st. It is an all-inclusive event. Everything will be taken care of except for your air transportation or however you're going to get here. But if you're definitely flying in, I will have transportation from the airport to pick you up to bring you to the retreat in the mountains. Your food, your drink, everything, all the journeys, the ceremonies, everything is taken care of. And you're also going to get a sweet little gift from me when you arrive that I've been working on just to kind of putting together. And I think that's it for now. So hopefully we'll see you guys. Some of you guys, I know I'm going to see some of you in September. And for some of you, I hope I do see you. I know you've been kind of reaching out to me. There's just a few tickets left. Hope to see you there. Christina, have a wonderful time in I guess it's your winter. It's your winter.
Yeah.
And you're going to be coming back to our fall. But to my audience, I love you. Have an incredible evening. And just know that there's so much power behind your belief. There is so much power in your mind. You do not have to go and train yourself over and over and over and over and over again. There are ways to jump this. It doesn't mean that you're looking for all the shortcuts, but when you're really already doing all your healing, some of these shortcuts are really nice. So take advantage of that. And I love you. And I'll see you guys next week. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.